Hi, I'm Joshua Phillip, and welcome to this episode of Read the News, the channel that helps you pretend that you're well informed. This week, we're going to review a couple of our previous stories, and I'm going to nail a couple other stories real quick for you and kind of give a week in review format, because there was no particular story that jumped out at us that we hadn't already covered. So we'll see how that works this week. Starting off, there's been a rash of cheese thefts in Wisconsin, of all places. Two thefts totaling of more than $150,000 worth have taken place in Marshfield and Germantown. We've got Sam Itch, veteran reporter of Desert Storm and six-time Pulitzer Prize nominee, on location in Milwaukee, where one of the empty trailers were found. Sam, have all the cheese products that were inside that trailer been recovered?
Yes.
Thanks, Sam. Moving on, Flint, a update with their water situation. Lately, there have been a lot of reports online saying that Child Protective Services have been threatening to take people away, or take people's children away who haven't been paying their water bills and getting it shut off, and that, thankfully, is not true. However, what is true, and nearly as bad, is they have been getting $100 water bills for water that they can't really use. And that $100 is an average, which is really high for water. And people are very frustrated with this, and finally some people are looking into it. Also, another thing that has surfaced is that it turns out that last year, when some fairly minor water problems were surfacing, the state building in Flint got their own bottled water supplied to them, which isn't necessarily damning evidence, but it really looks bad. Yeah, state employees deciding that they didn't want to drink the water, but still telling all the Flint residents that it was fine to drink. That's less than great. However, now there's also another town, Sebring, Ohio, who's going through this very similar situation where it turns out they had some poor testing done earlier, and now they're finding problems with their water. So we'll see how far this issue spreads. And now we go to Brian for the advice column.
Well, thank you, Josh. And this is, yes, me, Brian TV, with some excellent advice. And let me tell you, I have taken it to the next level. I'm taking the advice column very seriously. Very seriously. I am ready. This is going to be the best advice that I have given. It's a new day. It's a new day. All right. Dear Brian TV, public restroom noise is best ignored, is the headline here. All right. And dear Brian TV, I was in one of the 3 or 4 communal stalls in the ladies' room of a restaurant, just finishing up when another person walked into the stall next to me, closed the door, and then began to both sob and urinate audibly. Well, makes sense. These things are audible. What is the appropriate response in situation? Okay, great. This is great. Good. Questions that matter. I am one who become more upset in the face of sympathy from a stranger, so I kept silent and waited for the aggrieved party to finish both her metrition and her audible sorrow. But perhaps this was inappropriate. Okay, dear Miss Manners, as you so appropriately tagged yourself. Why are you asking for advice? You did the right thing. You keep your mouth shut. You're in a bathroom. Are you really gonna? You're really gonna engage somebody on their life? And like they're in the bath, they're crying and peeing at the same time. That's gotta be pretty rough. It's gotta be pretty rough. I mean, you know, I can't wait until after they're done peeing. I don't even know. I've never been in that scenario. I don't think I've ever peed and cried at the same time. Yeah, walk out of the restroom. Don't say anything. That's like about as awkward as like the guy in the stall, like at a urinal next to you, like if you're a dude, and he's like, over it. You ask how your day's been. You're like, I don't know you, guy. Like, just because both our dicks are out and are peeing in the same restroom does not give you the right to begin a conversation with me. So my advice to you is keep it up, or think about something better. Read a book. I'm done. Back to you, Josh. Holy crap.
Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
Moving on to the Occupy Oregon standoff, there have been a few developments. Several have been arrested, including Eamon Bundy, the leader, and one was unfortunately shot to death by FBI agents. There have been conflicting reports, but it looks like from the video that while he initially had his hands up, he was shot while reaching for a gun that he had in his pocket. Roadblocks have been established, and most of the members have left the refuge. However, 4 do remain, so we'll see how that pans out in the next few days. I'd also like to briefly mention the conflict in Syria. It's a mess, and there's a lot more depth there than I can get into right now, but I would like to point out that there are peace talks going on. However, they're not terribly hopeful, since only one side is showing up, the Assad regime from Syria. So right now they're just sitting there talking to UN officials, as no one else will show up to the table, none of the opposition members. That's Read the News this week. Thanks for joining us, and join us again next week. I'll be covering the teacher stickouts in Detroit, as well as other related teacher strikes across the country. Thanks. State is federal managed land, but the National Wildlife Refuge is actually a fairly small part of it. And it's a wildlife refuge, which is why it's not open to public use as much as many other lands. The neighboring ranchers do have grazing agreements and